Oh, you said
This is week 5. Wait, no. This is week 6.
Week 6. This is the week before we. Why did you just sit here?
Because I like this chair.
I like this chair.
Also, I got it.
This is. You might want to move it a bit. I'm more in it than you. This is your video. Alright, so this is the week before we broke up for Easter. So first of all, Monday, we started off with Ryan and the fitter, where we went through the devising piece before jumping straight into the first scene to see if it kind of matches up. Because straight after we placed the bed down, we placed the teacher bar down, we had to go straight into the second scene where Paris as well as teacher bar are there. So we had to try and see if the timing would be right, if it all makes sense for these two characters to be there, what changes we might have to do in the actual devising piece to make it work, and just that kind of stuff. Anything you want to say about it?
You more or less just said it, more or less. That's about it. Oh yeah, we were was it that week when we were introduced to Keris?
No, that was the week. I think, yeah.
It was week 6, wasn't it?
I think it was the week where we began to think about what we would do with Keris, if it would make sense for us to be in the devising piece and that.
Yeah, because we got basically in a scene, there's a little child who's placed on the bed and starts, or she's in a deep sleep.
And in the first scene, we've already planned Keris being in it. So it was kind of like the idea was in the back of our head of how to put her in.
Yeah, it was like how we're gonna do this at first, but then the more we saw the opening, the more like we planned it out, it started to like make sense.
Yeah.
And I feel like the audience would probably get it. Yeah, that's about it.
Then in Jamie's lesson, we carried on blocking out the court scene up to the part where I come in. So basically with this scene, it is a very long scene. Like there is a lot going on, and I think for the audience it is very confusing because there's a lot of terminology that people wouldn't get unless you actually know the story yourself. But we got to the part where I come in, which is good because I can actually learn the blocking for that. But it's also very stressful for me since I do have to sit backstage for a while before coming on, and it just, especially when I'm sitting on the side for rehearsals, I feel like even though I do want to go through my lines, I can't because I'm concentrating too much on what everyone's doing in front of me and not on what I need to do myself. And I feel like that's just something that I might need to work on later on.
I had to be patient because I wasn't really talking in that part of the court scene. I was more or less just turn my back on
Mostly just watching.
I'm just watching. I'm just like, yeah, my wife's getting accused. Great, just chilling. So, as a professional actor, I won't say it myself, but as a professional actor, they will have to just chill, like maybe go through their lines if they don't know it.
They're getting paid for this. They have to.
Yeah, and they're just like, okay, go through my lines, or whatever. Just don't distract other people. Just be your own moment and stay in character as well.
We're all here for the same reason. Like, might as well just get on with it.
We all want the same goal.
Which I'm straight into Tuesday. So we have Jamie in the singing studio where we. Alright, so this is when we started to show Keris what we were planning on doing for the first scene and for the court scene. So basically, because Keris is doing her show as well as helping us out with ours, we had to try and find a way for her to be able to rehearse with us as well as her group. And basically in this lesson we tried getting through the first scene as well as a bit of the court scene to see if it just goes well for Betty/Keris to be in that scene, especially with a lot going on, if it just makes sense. Anything you want to say?
It was really easy to tell Keris like what's going on and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
She only had to watch our choreography once, and it's like, okay, you'll be placed
She's
here.
a quick learner.
You'll be placed here, and then we'll all run off, and it was very easy. It took like 20 something minutes for us to actually do it.
It didn't take long.
Yeah, it was pretty simple. I think, did we get into this scene, like the first scene when we did it?
What do you mean?
So like when we did the choreography, did we just just like then go to the first scene?
No, we just jumped straight into this first scene. Mostly we just then had Martina in the back room where we created our character descriptions. I found that this lesson was very important and useful, since it kind of gives us a better understanding of our characters, as if we were them ourselves, or if we were going to meet our character. We began to research our age, where we live, who we like, who we don't like, because it's just one of those things where when you get on stage, you have to be that character, you have to think like your character. And so if we start researching and begin rehearsing in our own time as that character, it should be easier on stage, especially since when you're on stage you have to show your relationships between everyone else and their characters.
Because the scene, like the first scene for example, there's quite a lot of people in the first scene. We got Giles Corey. Giles Corey's supposed to be my best friend. We got Abigail Williams. She's supposed to be my what's the word again? Obstacle. Basically, like I'm trying to achieve my goal. She's just in the way.
Yeah.
We also got Tichabo, who I don't really talk to as much. Reverend Paris. I'm not really friends with him.
Yeah, you
well.
dislike him.
I dislike a lot of people, but when it comes to like my wife, for example,
so you would stand closer to her than you would Paris, so you would be further away.
It's really important that you do character research, because you gotta know, as I said, you gotta know your character's backstory.
Yeah.
I can be 51. I'm 51. So how I show the audience I'm 51.
How would you walk? How would you talk?
How would I walk? How would I talk? Abigail Williams, she's a young girl. How would she act around people? And
how would you act around her? Like say for example, John would be a bit more courageous. He would be more outgoing because he's like, oh yeah, this girl likes me. Look at her, she likes me. She doesn't like anyone else. And then it's like Abigail would just be, she would act shy and that, but she has like secret intentions behind her. Just stuff like that, just the little details. And then on Wednesday we had Ryan the whole day, where he he allowed us to go through all of the first scene with Keris, which we blocked with Jamie in the last lesson. It felt nice to go through it properly again with Keris, because I think every minute counts, and especially if we don't spend as much time with her, it's good to just use that time to actually go through it thoroughly. Anything you want to say about that for Karen?
There's never really, to be honest.
We then, in our next lesson, performed the court scene as we began blocking some more of it. Then in the Mac room, we just worked on our proposals and the rest of the WordPress. It's just one of those things where these kind of days are just us finishing things off or carrying on when we left off, and it feels, because it's a very slow process and very detailed, it doesn't feel like it's moved anywhere. But you can see in a certain scene in that, for example, the court scene, even if it looks like we didn't get anywhere, there's probably small little details that you can see in it that show that we've been working all lesson for that, if you get what I mean.
In the court scene, it was fairly easy to do because I hear the person who plays my character, I hear his voice in my head, and which helped me a lot because, of course, I look through my lines, but those specific scenes, I didn't really have to.
From last term as well, like you had other people, like James, he said your lines basically already, so you kind of know most of them from that.
Yeah, and that's how I learned it, to be honest. I keep hearing his voice, which is really annoying, but oh well, it helped me.
It helps you.
Thursday.
Thursday, it doesn't say what we done. I didn't write notes for Thursday, I think, because it was. I think on Thursday we.
Oh yeah, I remember. It's where we had Jamie and we performed the first scene in front of the year 2s.
That's what Sandra said, but yeah, it might have been that, because that's when Harry and Janae came in, wasn't it? Yeah, so basically we done some warm-ups with them, and then we performed the first scene for them, and then afterwards they gave us feedback on what was really good, what we needed to work on, and just advice for in the future as well as when it comes to our actual performance. It felt good to hear their point of view of how it's going, because we could probably think it's going amazing, but it's just good to hear someone else's point of view.
They kept telling us to react, and they said that to a lot, that we need to react because, for example, they were like, when someone's talking about witchcraft, you don't just be like, cool,
Yeah.
witchcraft. In this era, people believed in like witches, gods, Satan, and all that sort of stuff. So you could imagine if someone said there's witchcraft among the village or something like that.
Yeah.
Everyone's gonna be like, oh my gosh, there could Satan's involved. Like we could be
This is
cursed,
life or
like,
death.
in it. Like they know it's dangerous. They know not to mess with that sort of
And
stuff.
the thing is, nowadays there's like science behind it, but they didn't have that. They instantly believed in anything that was so gullible.
You can show them like I can show them like my phone. They'll feel like there's a tiny man trapped in your this whatever screen device you have. Like
Yeah, just showing them a light, that's enough.
they'll probably pass out. If
Yeah.
Imagine taking them to a concert.
Showing them shoes like this,
Yo, like my sneakers.
just your outfit enough would be like too much for them.
They will pass out. They won't like it. But yeah, strengths and weaknesses for this week. I'll say my strength is being focused, like focusing on the work, like not getting distracted, just whether the director tells you, like, okay, I'll do it.
You just get on with it.
No questions asked, nothing. My weakness is probably, back then I'll probably say it was my lines, because I didn't know some of my lines, but before then I didn't really know some of it, because I haven't come across it yet. So I was still on the edge, like, I have to have my script. Well, not have my script, but like I was saying when I was like, okay, the next line is that one, right? So I feel like just look over my lines a little bit more.
You like having something to double check on, like you don't feel totally confident yet.
Yeah, I just need to be more confident, just trust myself.
Yeah. Strengths for me, I think at this point in time I felt more confident with my lines and my cues, because even though cues are very difficult, especially since there's a huge group of people and you're not saying much in the scene, I felt like my cues definitely got better. There was definitely an improvement, as well as everything else, as well as my actual lines, especially since I have a lot of paragraphs in it. I feel that even though I do speak very quickly, I can tell that people understand what I'm saying. You know what I mean? But yeah, that is definitely a weakness. The speed of how I say things. It's one of those things where you just want to get out, because otherwise it's just gonna. You don't want to forget your line. You have it in your mind. You're ready to say, just say it, kind of thing. So that's just something I need to work on. But
That's about
yeah, that's
it.
kind of it.
That's about it.
That is week